I think every real horror fan has had at least one experience of feeling out of place when compared with quote-unquote mainstream society, but I don't think there's ever been a really good attempt to understand why it is that people like horror. Like, most horror fans are generally normal people who have pretty good reasons for enjoying horror, but what are those reasons? The real reasons, not the ones they learn to tell people to make them leave them alone. That's what our podcast is about, interviewing people in the horror business to find out what it is that they really love about horror. My name's Steve. I'm a bit of a psychology buff, and my co-host is my friend Chris, who's a bit of a horror buff. And so far, we've interviewed about 30 people in the business and had a lot of fun with it. We're going to continue interviewing more people, but wanted to share some of the highlights with you. In this set of excerpts, we're going to be talking to actor, producer, and writer Bill Oberst Jr., editor and horror convention organizer Chris Alexander, and actor and voice actor David Howard Thornton. If you like what you hear, you can find us on Apple, Google, Spotify, or the player on our website. One of the questions we often ask is for kids who are exposed to horror, did you know that it was supposed to be entertaining?
No.
And that's what I was going to say, is in your case, it sounds more like more of a life lesson for you, I think.
Yeah, they were my friends, and I wanted to experience what they experienced as soon as I met each one. When I met the Frankenstein monster, I went out to my dad's. We lived out in the country and had this sort of a barn shed, and I just pieced together pieces from an old trailer and some glass globes from telephone poles and made a Frankenstein's laboratory and laid down on the table and imagined I was when I learned about when I was introduced to werewolves, I snuck out of the house at night many times and climbed trees and just wanted to feel like what it would be like to be an animal howling at the moon, trying to walk on the tips of my toes. And I didn't see them as entertainment. In fact, it was kind of a letdown later on to find out that, someone just thought this up to make money, because it was very meaningful to me.
Were the movies at all instructional for you in terms of obviously how not to maybe interact with society, but hopefully ways to interact?
That's a really good question. Because of course the Frankenstein monster, he tried early, very briefly, but he could just never get any attraction, even when he was with the old guy with the fiddle, saying, friend, sure enough, the son's going to come home and like, oh my God, you're ugly, I'm burning the house down. Didn't work for Eric. Of course, Eric was a little obsessed,
Bit of an overreaction,
but just a tad.
And in typical Billy fashion, I rejected everything that everybody else told me about God or spirituality or Jesus or any of it, because I had to figure it out for myself. That's always been my great downfall, is I can't listen to a damn person. I've got to figure it out for myself. Like, yeah. So that's how nuclear physics works. Well, I'll be the judge of it.
Boom.
Let me look at this one-page outline, and I'll tell you.
Right. And here I was about to say, I wouldn't consider that a downfall, more of just a delay and a solid trait, because then you know everything because you experience it personally.
There's pros and cons.
Yeah, you're right. With nuclear physics, that might be maybe just read about that.
You know about the kid that built a reactor in his shed?
Oh gosh.
Or was trying to build a reactor, but it hadn't actually completely done so, but did have
was
enough.
He unable to obtain any plutonium?
Well, that's where he got caught, was he was trying to. God. And they found out that he did have enough that his shed was radioactive.
Wow.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, once I accepted my freakishness, then I could meet other freaks and was okay. But
other kindred spirits, if you will.
Yeah, and I guess kids today have it easier because you can find freakery pretty quickly now.
Yeah, we have the internet now.
Yeah, but what was I going to do? Look in the phone book under F for free?
I know, right? Like, just dial every name in your local directory in your town and go, hello, do you like weird shit?
That's
Hello?
right. And so for most of them, it was a passing stage, and then they became regular people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And but I just, made a career out of it. The body is capable, despite our lowness to the ground, that we are capable of embodying a hell of a lot of light. But we're still going to sweat. We're still going to burp, I want all of it. I don't want just the exalted, I want that with a burp in there too.
In the middle of the
Why couldn't an angel burp? What would be wrong with it?
Well, I know they don't fart because they don't have anuses.
You know what? I hadn't thought about it. There's no reason they should, or belly buttons. Yeah, you're right.
They could burp, though. They could burp.
Oh, Chris. Leave it to Chris to bring up the lack of angel anuses.
I've never actually considered whether they had anuses or not, or actually fingers and toes. But you know what? Okay, so here's the interesting thing, and I know we're out of time. I can't believe we talked for 2 hours. But the interesting thing is that most stories in mythology and in religions, when people meet angels, it's not a happy experience. Almost always, they're scared shitless.
Oh, yeah, because there's some other dimensional, like just non-bipedal, crazy, batshit crazy thing with 16 wings and 24 eyes. And
And my parents went out to go see Apocalypse Now, I remember, in the theater. Because again, I was like, what are you seeing? Apocalypse Now? What is this? No, you won't like it. It's boring. It's a war movie. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, there's a lot of talking.
Yeah, but they stuck me home with the babysitter, and they said, listen, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, all he can talk about is the world premiere of this Invasion of the Body Snatchers thing on TV. You cannot let him watch that. My baby's just like, no problem. She ends up,
of course, you watch it anyway.
Yeah, she ends up falling asleep. I had one of those remote controls with like, those push button remote controls from the 70s that are with a cord that... So I knew
the ones that made that loud clang noise.
Ka-chunk, and you had a little band on the left side that you'd have to go up. You had 3 choices. Anyways, I knew exactly where the Toronto station was that was playing this, and as soon as she fell asleep, my opportunity came, and I put on the channel just in time to see Donald Sutherland
put the thing under a pillow so you could change the channel.
Well, he was smashing his own clone's face in, and that's that's a PG movie.
Oh God, that's the scene that you popped in on.
Yeah, right then. Perfect. And then there's that sound of that fetal heartbeat going, and so I see that, and it's again that for a PG movie even now, it's surprisingly dark and gory. A lot of stuff was in the 70s. They got away with a lot of stuff being PG.
Yeah.
PG back then was a lot more lax.
I had a Leonard Maltin video book, I think, a little bit. Maybe that was a little bit later. But I remember later on with my Maltin book when I was 10. It's again no IMDb, no internet. I had to rely on that Leonard Maltin for reviews, and I memorized every title, every alternate title, running times, if it was color, black and white, made for TV, whatever. But I would notice that if Maltin gave it 3 or 4, if he gave it 4 stars, it was going to be really good. If he gave it 2.5 or 3, it could be a dodgy proposition. If it was a horror movie and he gave it a bomb, it was going to be amazing. So I would make sure, it's true, like Lucio Fulci's Zombie was a bomb, and even The Brood, Cronenberg's The Brood was a bomb. And so I would highlight anything that was bomb or 1 star. If it was 1 star, I knew it was going to be really down market, really foreign, and really weird. Yeah, so I think when I was 12, I was grade 7, and what I would do is I'd started a new school, and every time you start a new school, you can kind of reinvent what you are because there's no memory with anybody where you've come from.
Starting over a new chapter.
Right. So it's this is my stuff. This is what I do. So I can come on real strong with this and be very announced to the world and say, I want to see something, and there's that Twilight Zone, the movie where Dan Aykroyd's I want to see something really scary. Albert Brooks. And I was well, I'm going to do it. I'm all in. So I had my dad's old briefcase from his real estate days, and I packed it full of Fangorias and horror comics. And I'd get on that school bus because I took a school bus, and I went right to the back.
Teacher called home.
Well, no, the kids are just who's this mother? I was new. And I would just open the briefcase and start pulling out these early Fango magazines, the Great Uncle Bob period, God rest his soul. And, all the guys were whoa, let me see, what's this? Oh my God, brains falling out. And all the girls would be ew. But of course, the girls want to come over and see it too, because they're just whoa. But at the end of the day, every single person on that bus, whether it be a jock or a geek or whatever, we're all who the hell's this guy? I became a kind of smut peddler to a lot of these.
First one's free, kid.
They all knew, and then it really caught on because I'd be in class and I didn't make no bones of the fact every assignment we do, I tie it back. So we used to have sleepovers, at this point where we'd
movie nights.
We'd see Nightmare on Elm Street 3 at that point. It was new. And one of the cool things we thought was really a key to staying up all night was Patricia Arquette eating spoonfuls of instant coffee and watching cola. So we would do that. We would get super hopped up on caffeine by literally eating it and coffee, like ground coffee.
It's not the same as they show in the movies, is it? You think it's going to be easy? You just take a spoonful of coffee, this is fine, and then
I can still taste it. It's like eating a cigar. You know,
I can
it's
still
like
feel it in my teeth. It is the worst experience ever.
it is instant. You're instantly dehydrated, like whoop, you're like the mummy.
It's like the cinnamon test. Just god.
But it worked. Like your eyes were bulging. So we'd pull the
it wakes you up.
So that was a huge thing. And then that was the golden age of the video store. So my dad and I every Friday night we'd rent horror movies too, and he'd always fall asleep and leave me to my devices. And one of those movies was like Lamberto Bava's Demons that really did me in as well. And,
wait, did you just say Lorena Bobbitt's Demons was a warm memory?
I said Lamberto Bava, but we can get into Lorena Bobbitt later.
I'm sure she has some demons.
Definitely.
Okay.
But it's like my those are warm memories, of friendship, and my father who passed away in my arms a couple of years ago was my best friend. Him just falling asleep like a son of a bitch and leaving me alone on this couch. But it was cozy, like I was with my dad, I was watching this stuff, so I was kind of alone, but I wasn't alone. His manservant came by with a boat and said, "Get in the boat." I said, where are you going to take me? He's like, see my boss. I'm like, who's your boss? Like, Nicolas Cage. I'm like, all right. We go to his island, and there he is with he had a big beard. Anyways, we go to his courtyard, and he had all these Hammer horror movies spread out all over his table. He said, I'm doing this for you. It's all for you. It's for Fangoria. It's for our love of horror.
You do that very well.
I'm like, I'm like, well, I was like, well, what do you do when Entertainment Weekly comes over? And he's like, they're not invited. And we spent the whole day just getting drinking red wine, and he had prepared this huge feast. And we mostly just talked about Terrence Fisher, because he wanted at that point to remake Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell.
But that same movie, my mom used to scare me as a kid because I used to sit right in front of the TV and block her view. And so she told me, if you sit that close to the TV, you'll be sucked in the movie like the little girl in the movie. And I'm, oh no! And so I used to keep a wide berth of the TV.
I was going to say, that is so much better than telling you that your eyesight is going to be ruined.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my mom was a master at that psychological stuff. I remember she told me my boogers were not snot, but it was worm eggs. And she's like, if you eat those, you will have worm eggs in your stomach and they will hatch. And you'll have worms in your stomach and you'll have to get your stomach pumped.
Oh my God,
I can see that backfiring depending on the kid.
Yeah. But I believed it. I believed it for the longest time. I was so worried about, getting my stomach pumped one day or stuff like that. I was like, oh, okay, sorry.
Mom comes in and finds you feeding your boogers to the family dog or cat. What the hell are you doing?
Giving it worms.
His science experiment.
It's an experiment. Yeah. Okay.
But middle of nowhere. I was lucky to get a bar on my phone.
Okay.
Yeah, I was literally, we'd be leaving from set and would just pass the Amish. So that was always fun driving by while I'm covered in blood and full costume. They pass on those buggies on the road, and I would just wave.
Would you get the slow magnet stare where their eyes and face just follow you as you drive by?
Yeah, it was more that. Oh my God! Oh, geez, did you see that?
Hey, you could do their children a favor if they have any kids with them and yell, "This is what technology does to you!"
Yeah. Right before they got there, these two girls had come up and they're drenched. And they're like, my mom's like, what happened to you girls? They're like, oh, these boys, they threw these water balloons at us. They thought it would be funny to pull a prank on us. She's like, oh, don't worry, David will get them. My friends from high school, and so they come, hey, Miss Thornton, how you doing? Is David around? I was like, oh, no, he's out trick-or-treating too. You'll probably see him out there somewhere. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Tell him we said hi. And I just got up, hi, guys. and they ended up falling down the stairs of our front porch, and those water balloons
all over them.
all over them, just like pop, 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 pop.
Even better.
Nice.
Yeah, and they're like, and it's like, that got you. I got you. Teaches you a lesson there, guys. Don't throw water balloons at girls. Come on.
Right.
And it got to the point where, like, if he didn't see me when he came in the room and he thought I was around, he would just start looking for me. And sometimes he would find me, but there's like this one time I was coming down the hallway, coming back from class, and I hear this, Dave, okay, come out, man. I know you're in here, man. I know you're in here.
Nice.
And he had his back to the door. So I just stood behind him, and then he turns around, and I'm just right there in his face. Like, looking for me?
Didn't even have to say anything that time. Just him discovering you.
Oh no, I had fun. I had so much fun with that. It was great. There was a story of my grandmother when she was in college where she killed a rat in the bathtub, and she hung it by its tail in the front chandelier of the girls' dormitory. So anytime anybody walked in, she would get in the face with a rat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my grandmother was hysterical.
So yeah, come check us out over at horrormakeshappy.com or check out some of our other excerpts until you find someone whose interview you do want to hear.